Y'all know I'm very real with the advice that I give. I'm gonna give it to you straight up and I'm gonna give it to you real. You're like, I wanna be in LA, I wanna be in New York. If they assign you Minneapolis, baby, we're going to Minneapolis. It is very easy. It's just hard to get into, but it is easy. It's been amazing. And sometimes I wish I could go back to training just to like experience again. Now I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Nani na na na, top girl from Atlanta. Nani na na na, Nani, you a star girl. You will have it all. Booking flights around the world. Na na na, na na na. Oh, Nani, you a star girl. You will have it all. Go ahead and show it off. Na na, Nani, Nani, na na na.
Guess who's finally on camera and not being lazy? Miss girl. I literally have had no motivation to film. I just have not had motivation for a minute. I really wanted to film for y'all. I told y'all I wanted to do the flight attendant series, which this is video 2 of the flight attendant series. Today is gonna be the flight attendant training survival guide. I've been wanting to get this out for y'all. But yeah, I just been tired. I recently found these shots and honestly, I am a coffee girl. And obviously with my now situation, for those of you that have still been watching my non-flight attendant stuff, I have a now nighttime job or nightlife job because I work in bottle service. February, I'll be back flying. So I've been kind of on this overnight schedule and then like finding the motivation to film in the morning is just not there because I'm tired. The coffee has not been working, y'all. So they're called Magic Mind, y'all. And they are specifically productivity shots. Do you see this here? You see here, it says stopping procrastination, and baby, crush the procrastination because I have been literally procrastinating. Obviously, I am a big coffee girl, but I was recently watching this video and they're talking about if you add a lot of sugar and creamer to the point that your coffee is a milkshake, then you're not, it's pointless. Pretty much just drinking sugar and you're gonna end up crashing from the caffeine and sugar that you're having. These are more natural, and then also this is more of like a matcha base. Your girl loves her some matcha, baby. Love me some matcha. It has matcha, agave, passion fruit, beet, vanilla. Like, it's actually really, really good. It's also keeping me from having as much sugar as I normally would have because baby, the way that I'd be pouring like 16 creamers. It's supposed to help with like focus too. So it has nootropics for focus. It has matcha for energy. It also has vitamins for like immunity. So I feel like this has been a really good transition for not having coffee as much. It has like 55 milligrams of caffeine in it. So that has been super helpful. Give me a little bit of caffeine, less sugar, healthier. It's really quick. It's like a shot in. You're out here taking tequila shots and Hennessy shots and everything else. Baby, you can take a shot for your health. If you do any research on matcha, it has like the slow releasing energy that keeps you stable all day. So you're not like up with high on caffeine and then a drop of caffeine. So apparently like caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. It actually just blocks your like neuroreceptors from like telling you that you're tired. So it's literally like just blocking you from thinking about being tired, but maybe you're still tired. So you're still gonna crash at the end of the day. This has been really good for my lifestyle as of recently. And it is the reason why your girl is able to do this video today. It's working because your girl's here and she ain't procrastinating and she finally weeks later is making the video. And I've only had these for about a week and I've been trying them for the past 4 days. It might be the only reason why your girl picked up the camera. So bottoms up, cheers to Magic Mind. Obviously, this video is about surviving flight attendant training. I just wanted to mention these because I feel like these would have been very, very helpful for me when I was in flight attendant training. Nobody really had time to like run and go get coffee, and if you were gonna be a couple minutes late. So I feel like having something like this to give me a little bit of energy in the morning would have been really, really good. But obviously, I wasn't gonna put y'all on without giving y'all some sort of discount. So if you do go to magicmind.com/NaniK, you can use code NaniK20 for 56% off of your first box. If you do try it and you don't like it, they do 100% money back guarantee. It's a no-brainer. Use my code, get some money, but let's get into the video. If y'all are watching this video, obviously I want to say a big congratulations because obviously that means that you have gotten your CJO for whatever airline that you work for. If you are working for my airline, then obviously it will be a little bit more tailored to my experience. All these are going to be my opinions, not the opinions of my airline or other airlines. It's just going to be my experience that I had and things that I feel like are going to be best for you during your flight attendant training experience. Things that I wish I knew. Now, I watched a lot of flight attendant training videos when I was about to be a flight attendant. It's just a part of the culture. You want to know exactly what you're gonna be doing, what to look forward to. And yeah, this video is for you, baby, because I'm about to get into it. I obviously have done plenty of flight attendant videos. Y'all know I'm very real with the advice that I give. I'm gonna give give it to you straight up and I'm gonna give it to you real. Starting out, you got in your CJO, you know training is coming up within the next couple months. What would you do to start planning for training? First thing I wanna talk about is finances and savings. You need to have some sort of savings before going into flight attendant training. It is a non-negotiable, non-debatable, because if you cannot afford to survive, you are not gonna stay in training. Like, you're gonna get to a point where you're like, I don't have the money for this, I can't afford this lifestyle is not for me. And really it could be for you, but you were not pre-planned. And I feel like, honestly, I wish I knew about this when I was applying to be a flight attendant. So if you are watching this and you're applying to be a flight attendant, baby, start saving right now. You are going to be in training for 6 weeks. And I think I actually talked to somebody recently. I don't know if ours has turned to 5 weeks, but when I was in, it was 6 weeks. Normally flight attendant trainings are between 5 to 8 weeks, I believe. It's different for every company. With that, you are going to have to be able to afford your bills while also not getting paid. So my company does pay a minimum wage for the time that you are in training. I do feel like that was more money that would have helped with like food and like maintaining while I was in training. But obviously if you were going from a career, or maybe even you just work like a retail job or something smaller, and now you are going to making minimum wage, you obviously have to plan for the month that you were in training as well as the beginning of that next month. What are you gonna do with your bills? Planning and understanding what your finances are gonna look like is most important, because you are already gonna have a little bit of a stress going into flight attendant training because you're nervous, you don't know what to expect. The last thing that you wanna be focused on is how much money you're gonna be making or lacking during the flight attendant training, because you wanna be able to focus, you wanna be able to fully put your whole into becoming a flight attendant in this new career, because it's gonna be amazing, it's gonna be so much fun, but that is just an additional stress during training that you don't need. So having some sort of savings, for me, I pulled out my 401k, I think I mentioned that in another video. I had 7,000, I think almost 7,500 in my 401k, leaving my corporate job. Some people don't wanna touch the 401k, but you don't have an option sometimes, and that is what I use to kind of prep for flight attendant training. My video showing you guys my essentials, I got my essentials with that. I paid up on bills. I also had a family system that help. I had help from my mom and I had help from my stepdad. So everybody around me was kind of in support of what I was going to be doing, but I know that is not an option for everybody. If you have family support, that's great. If you have like a boyfriend or a husband, that's also great, because you have somebody to fully support you while you were in training financially. But if you do not have that, you will have to have some sort of savings, at least a month's worth of bills paid. Planning on what your finances are going to look like going into the training process, because it's just something you don't want to stress on. While you're there, you're going to need food. You're going to need to wash clothes. You're going to need like things to maintain. Now, uniforms, they, at least for my company, I don't know, for other companies, you might have to pay for your uniform. In that case, you might need extra money for uniforms, or some places don't pay you at all. So if you don't have any money coming in from your company, then obviously you're gonna need a little bit more money, because you're gonna need money for food and stuff like that during training. Look at the research for your specific company, but pay attention to how much you're going to need prior to flight attendant training. When I graduated flight attendant training, I had 2 weeks before I actually started flying. Now, obviously I'm just starting to fly, so 2 more weeks before I'm getting a check of actual flying. So like I said, it's gonna be about 2 months of bills that you're gonna need prior to going into flight attendant training, at least to like set you up to be able to afford it. Now, obviously the other option is you just don't pay the bills and maybe they gonna get it when they get it. That's also another option. I do feel like once you start flying, at least for me, I started flying crazy in the beginning. You guys know, if you look at my beginning paycheck, if you go back and watch my old video when I talked about my salary, once you're flying, you're going to be able to afford life. So if you want to just not pay bills and just kind of like let them know, hey, I'm going to be in this period, I might be a month late, you know, do what you got to do. And at least if you can pay 1 month up, then at least you'll have that together. Finances are, I feel like, the most important to start talking about with you guys, because it is the one thing that I feel like I was not aware of. Having some sort of savings, focus on finances prior to even getting there, so that stress is out of the way. Next thing that I'm gonna be talking about is choosing your roommate and time. This is specific for my company. I don't know how other companies are. It may just be chosen at random. But for my company, you do get to choose your roommate prior to flight attendant training. training. Me, I ended up going to training super last minute, so I didn't really get to fill out the full roommate and time request form. I was just kind of thrown in, and thankfully, God bless, I was able to get the time that I wanted, which was a 12 o'clock start time. My company is different depending on how many people they're hiring at the time, whether there's, you know, 3 training classes during the day start times, or if there's 4, and it's been up to 6, I heard, when we were hiring a whole bunch. But they do give you the option prior to training, shortly after your CJO, they will send you something saying, hey, if you're going to be staying on campus of, you know, training, what kind of roommate would you like? So they ask you a lot of detail. They ask you, do you want a roommate that is more like party hangout, or do you want one that's in the room and quiet and not ever leaving? Do you want one that is going to study with you, or are you more to yourself? Like, pretty much they're asking you, like, do you want a buddy, or do you want to be a loner and y'all just be living their separate lives? And obviously the goal with that is, and I appreciate that with my company, is the chances that you get a match that is like a good match for a roommate is higher. Obviously, if they just did it at random, which I'm sure there are companies that do, if they do it at random, you might end up with a party person and you're more of a quiet person. And now this person is out coming in 2 in the morning, blah, 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 and you're trying to study and get rest. And that did happen, unfortunately, with some people. And I think it's just because like everything can't be perfect. You have to go into it extremely open-minded, because you don't know what you're gonna get with anything. I think that's just being a flight attendant in general. You don't really know what is anything. You don't know, like, on your A days if you're going to be going to Africa or if you're going to be going to Montana. Like, you really just don't know, and you just have to be very open-minded. But I do feel like the roommate survey in the beginning, helping you kind of like understand what you're looking for in a roommate, is beneficial, because for me, I wanted somebody that I could study with, but I also wanted somebody who, you know, didn't feel like going out. So me and my roommate, we stayed in the room. We did not go out the entire time of training. I think towards the very end, she did have like a date once with a guy, but yeah, we pretty much never left the room. So everybody, there were people that were in our same class that were literally going to the bar across the street every single day of training, and we never went. And it was just kind of one of those things that we're like, we're focused. We really want to make sure that we succeed in flight attendant training. And it's not to say that like if you are a party person and you prefer that, you definitely still can. I literally have friends that turned up every single day of training and graduated with us. So it's not like you can't have fun, but definitely know what your priority is with your person you're going to be staying with prior to getting there. So take that survey extremely seriously, because it will be telling of who you end up with. For my airline, it pretty much was, if you were more than 25 miles from base, you had the option of being on campus or being at your home. So, and when I say campus, I just mean the hotel that they put us in, pretty much having the option to have a hotel room and ride the bus with everybody else. Now, if you are under 25 miles of the actual training center, then you had to stay at home. There was no option for you. You had to stay at home, had to drive your car. I don't think I have talked about this, and if I did, it probably was in my 3-month update video. But there was a point in time where me and my roommate clashed. I won't get into it too much because obviously like me and her are cool now to this day. I am in my later 20s. She was newly in her 20s, so like a lot younger. And I feel like our personalities started, I mean, when you're with somebody every day and they're a complete stranger, it is, I mean, you're adapting to each other. And I just got to a point where I was like, I feel like I would be more successful not being in the hotel. So I did end up leaving the hotel at week 3, and there were 6 weeks total, obviously. The reason why I say decide what is best for you is I feel like the thing that was like the deciding factor for me wanting to be back at home, one, I missed my family like crazy. I've not spent that much time away from like my dog, and I don't know, I just wanted to be at home. Like there's just something about being able to make your coffee at home, make your breakfast, like doing everything that you would normally do in your normal wake up. It was a little annoying because I had to wake up 2 hours earlier and like leave early because I couldn't hit traffic. I couldn't be late. I then had to get like a parking pass to like be, it was just like a lot that went with like moving to off base. But I think going back, I'm actually happy with exactly how it went. The time I got to spend while I was like in the actual hotel, I got to hang out, I got to, you know, meet people, make friends, like, because obviously we're riding the bus together and stuff. But essentially, I do feel like home was my best option. But I don't know if I went back, if I would go fully on campus or at the hotel, or if I would stay at home. I think the way that it happened worked out perfect for me, but definitely if you are a commuter and you are in the city, and this is something that applies to you whether you're in the mileage or not, decide what it looks like for you, if you would like to stay home or if you would like to be on base. Now, if you have a husband or kids, obviously I would suggest staying at home. I'm not married, I don't have kids, so that wasn't a big thing for me. But yeah, just seeing like for your lifestyle, what would work best, because some people, like, I mean, I had to drive home, I was sitting in traffic, like there are downsides, I think, to both living with somebody and having to have the commute. But yeah, I just want to add that in because you do have to decide if you do want to do on base or off base if you are a local, at least for my company, to Georgia. But if you are a commuter and you're coming from another state, you are in the hotel. Like, you're in the hotel, you obviously don't have a car. Some people that lived nearby, like Nashville and stuff like that, they ended up driving, so they at least had their car. I highly actually would do that because there were pretty much like groups of people who had cars that drove in, and then on our off days they had a way to go do laundry, go get their nails done, whatever. If not, you're Ubering, and that's just another expense. I do feel like people who had cars, it was more beneficial for groceries and things like that. But obviously if you're coming from California to my company, training is in Georgia, so obviously you're not going to drive cross country, at least I wouldn't. But yeah, so those are all things to think about, whether you want to be on base, what that looks like, if you need a car. Yeah, those are all things to think about. The next thing I want to talk about are things that you probably want to have in advance prior to coming to flight attendant training. I would definitely come to flight attendant training with flashcards or whatever study material you know works best for you. A lot is provided to you during training. Maybe some like extra pens. You definitely will need pens because they don't pass those out. Notebooks. I brought notebooks, and then they provided really cute ones that had like the little planes with our company name on it. I just felt like those were adorable. That actually had all my training notes in that I threw away. Really thought I'd be able to give y'all more detail, but I got rid of those notebooks. I don't have any of them anymore. But they do give you really cute notebooks in the beginning, and all kinds of things. Like, people were like, you need a flashlight. Like, you didn't need anything. They provided everything for you. I would say flashcards, pens, highlighters. Those are the things I would come with as far as study materials. And then as far as appearance, obviously, if you guys watch my last video on appearance standards, come with all the things ready for you to be in like the compliance of how to look. So I would bring hair gel, probably have your nails done already in either the French tip or the red nail. That's the easiest. I feel like just go ahead and have your nails like that, and then all you'll need is like one fill-in during the time you're there. For our company, they will send you out a guide of the clothing that you need for training. We had to have black pants. That was a thing. So we had Fridays where you could wear jeans, but during the week it was black pants, or I guess you could wear like a long professional skirt, but business casual pants. So what I did is I went on Shein and got that, and the other thing that we needed were white tops, and they had to either be a button up or a polo. Now for me, and no frills, no logos, nothing, just plain white button up or polo. And I feel like if you do have tattoos, that's where it comes in, where you will wear a long sleeve. I wore long sleeve my entire time during training. So long sleeve polos, long sleeve button ups. If you don't have any tattoos, obviously you can do short sleeve polos or short sleeve button ups. But I went on Shein and got those things. They will provide you with a jacket with our company name on it, at least for our training. They'll provide your lanyard. You will be stressed about it, and then you'll get there and be like, oh, they really have thought every detail out. So don't stress too much on that. But I did go on Shein, and I think this is really good for people who are going to be coming from out of state. Obviously I went home, so I had access to like wash my clothes, but a lot of people had to go to the laundromat, and I feel like the best thing for me that I did was go on Shein, and I got 5, because obviously there are 5 days during the week. I wasn't even counting for Fridays. 5 white shirts, 5 black bottoms. I bought the exact same top and bottom because I did not care. I don't really care. I mean, who cares? And that is what I wore all throughout training. When training was done, I threw them away. Like the Shein, it was like $5 tops, $5 bottoms. Shein's so inexpensive. Now, if you want to go and buy out stuff or just use stuff that you have in your closet, feel free. Just come already ready for being in compliance, so you're not last minute trying to figure out those details. So the next thing I want to talk about that's still kind of involved in like the training and things that you'll need prior is thinking about the training costs while you're there. If you are planning on going out to eat with your friends while you're in training, you're gonna need money for that. If you're planning on having food such as like groceries, our class had a hotel that did not have hotel breakfast, but other people were in a different hotel in a different class that did have breakfast. So for example, our classes go by letter A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. So if class, you know, O is in one hotel, all of class O is in that one hotel, all 100 people, whatever. And say class R is in a different hotel. Their hotel might have breakfast, your hotel might not, and you don't know that until obviously you're assigned your hotel. So I do think it is a blessing if you do end up in one that has a hotel breakfast, because then obviously you could have breakfast prior to going into class, but that's not always an option. There is food on campus, but it can be a little bit pricey. I ate there kind of a lot of the time, but I feel like having a idea of the money you're going to be spending. The thing that I did was I brought a plastic container, and I mean like the little cheap plastic containers. I'll put it up here. I was still gonna have my Amazon storefront. Look in my flight attendant essentials, because I feel like most things that you'll need even in training are gonna be in there. I filled that with a bunch of snacks. Now, obviously, if you are coming from out of town, you could just go buy one from Walmart or Target or whatever. And they're really cheap. They're like $5, $6, get a ride, grab it. Snacks, I had like fruit cups, I had applesauce, I had little bags of chips, I had oatmeal in there, I had, and I'm like thinking about things too, like in my flight attendant essentials video, like that water warmer, that would be like the perfect thing to have had in training, because you have the hot water, you can make your coffee, tea, whatever. If you do have a microwave in your room, obviously that's super beneficial. You could have like a mini fridge with like frozen dinners. I don't know, but pretty much planning out how your food is going to be. For me, that was having a plastic container that had like a bunch of like easy oatmeal options, whether it be individual oatmeals. You could do grits. Some people do grits. Like there's so many quick and easy ways to have food without spending a bunch of money. Obviously, when I went back home, I started meal prepping. Having an idea of like your food cost, going out to eat with your friends, if you're gonna be doing anything while you're in the state that you're in, understanding like outside of your actual expenses and finances, what it looks like in the money that you're gonna be spending in training. The next thing that I think is very important to talk about in regards to training are going to be your sleep and maintaining your health. I do plan on doing a video on like how to stay healthy as a flight attendant and in training and all that. That's gonna be something completely separate, but I will say prioritizing your health is gonna be very, very important. Talk to you guys about the shot. Obviously, like the Magic Mind shot is a way for you to have like a boost of energy without the caffeine crash. But there are other things like really making sure that you get 8 hours of sleep. I know it's crazy because you're gonna wanna stay up, you're gonna wanna study, you're gonna wanna hang out, and there are only so much free time that you get while you're in training. But I do think you should prioritize your health and your sleep. That is so important while you're in training. Making sure that you have some mental rest time, like whether it be talking to your friends, whether you talk to a therapist. Y'all know I'm like pro therapy, but like having some you time in there, being able to like go to the gym, whether that be the hotel gym. I know it's probably gonna be very hard to even find time to work out, but even working out, because it's gonna give you that like boost of serotonin, it's gonna give you that energy that you might need. If you don't have time for it, just doing like a little workout in the room even. Regardless of all this, you're going to have to maintain the lifestyle once you're on the line. So if you're not getting sleep and you're not eating well and you're not working out during training, you're likely going to do the same thing when you're on the line, and it's going to be a lot busier. So just maintain your health, focus on you and like feeling good, drinking water, all that, because you want to make sure that you're not going in extremely tired or restless or stressed or with anxiety going into training, because you don't need that stress. So just think about those things, prioritize your health. Yeah, that was the next most important thing. This next one has been something that I feel like everybody has been asking me about, whether it be on Instagram, in my comments, on these videos, is how to choose the base that you want to be in. If you guys don't know, when you're a flight attendant, you have an assigned base. That means that you are going to have to fly out of that airport. So when I was based in New York, I had to fly out of JFK and LaGuardia. Flying out of Atlanta, I fly out of Atlanta only. If you want to go to LA, you can fly out of LA. Pretty much choosing your base of where you want to fly out of. Why this is so important is because you want to make sure it's something that makes sense. That is the biggest thing. So when everybody asks what's the best base to choose, obviously y'all know I feel like it's New York. I lived there for a little while. I loved the trips there. I do feel like New York is the best base for my company. But some people want to go based off of, you know, what is the most junior base. So for us, that is Minneapolis and Boston, and then New York, and then everything else after that. So some people want to go by most junior because they know that they'll be off of A days, which are like your reserve days. You won't have to be on standby. Then others are like, I don't care, I want to be in a new city, so I want to move to, you know, New York because I want to be in New York, or I want to move to LA because I want to go to LA, or I want to go to Atlanta because I just want to be in Atlanta. How I feel like you should choose your base is what makes the most sense. Your first 6 months of flying, you are on probation. They're looking at you like, can you be a good flight attendant? And they are judging you the most harshly in those 6 months. And I mean, being late, I mean, not being in compliance. There are plenty of things that you can like get written up for while you're in probation. When I say choose the base that makes the most sense, is you can always transfer bases. After your first 6 months, if the base is open, you can transfer there. While you're in probation, do what makes the most sense. Like for me, it would not have made sense for me to choose New York as my base. Atlanta was not open, so that's the other thing. But it would not have made sense for me to choose New York as my base and stay in Atlanta. New York is one of the hardest to commute to, Atlanta to New York, because both ways the flights are full, because there are a lot of flight attendants that commute, and there are also a lot of business travelers. So you have to think like between New York and Atlanta, the flights are almost always full. So I remember I tried to get on once, and it was the number one person on the list had been flying since 1975. The like 16th person or something like that was 1994. That's when I was born. So it's like, you have to think like, oh, if I would have been commuting, I wouldn't have made it, and I would have like likely been late for a flight or had a lot of difficulty doing that route. So I obviously moved to New York because during that 6 months, I needed to be where it made the most sense. When I say choose your base off of that, choose the base that is closest to your home, wherever that may be. For us, our main base in training obviously is in Georgia. Atlanta normally is closed. I don't know, in the beginning, sometimes they open it, but it is one of the harder bases to get into, not the hardest, one of the harder bases to get into. If you were in Nashville, Atlanta would be your best choice. Like if you're in Tennessee, Mississippi, obviously like the close ones, Atlanta makes the most sense because that's one commute, you know? But if you were in Mississippi and there's not a direct flight from Mississippi to New York, and I'm not saying that there is, but you want to check this, is that if you have to go Mississippi to Atlanta to New York for you to make it to work, that is not smart. It's just not smart. And I've said this before with people who have thought about coming to my airline, but they're like, oh, I live in Texas. Now we're getting a Texas base. I was gonna say that I was telling them it'd be smarter to do a company that is based in Texas, because there are obviously like 3 that are like bigger companies that are in Texas. But we now have one. Now that Texas base is obviously gonna be very limited, probably to more people who are senior, but we're getting one right now. So what I mean to say is, choose the one that's closest to you, where you only have to fly one flight, because it just does not make sense for you to fly multiple flights to get to work. Like I had a friend that was living in Vegas but chose New York as their base. So they were flying cross country to get to work and cross country to go back home. And it only took a couple months for them to like really be tired and like, I want to quit. Actually said that they were quitting and then changed their mind, and like they ended up figuring it out. Do something that makes the most sense so you actually have a chance to stay in the lifestyle. Because if you burn yourself out too fast, if you're having a hard time getting to work, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this isn't gonna work, it's not happening. And it literally has nothing to do with the job and everything to do with the base that you chose. Say for example, if you live in Atlanta and you really wanna be LA based, but right now you live in Atlanta, try and get Atlanta as your base, or New York as one of the closer bases to you in the beginning. And once you're out of the 6 months, do the far base that you've always wanted, because then it's not a problem to get there, or less of like a chance of you getting in trouble for running behind to get there. I don't know how to make the most sense of that. Hopefully y'all understand what I'm saying, but like think very smart about the base choices that you're going to be wanting based off of your lifestyle. Like, is it going to be easy to get back home? Are you even going to want to be back home? Or you want to just be gone all the time? I don't know. You have to think about those things because you want to make sure that the choice that you choose is practical, it's easy, you're still going to be able to get rest. And I feel like it's so important when choosing your base. So hopefully y'all understand where I'm coming from. If you have more questions on like base options, just leave it down below because I feel like that's a little bit more complicated. The next thing I'm immediately going to be going into is receiving your base. What base are you going to be assigned? Now, you have to stay open-minded. I'm just gonna start there. Stay open-minded. My class, everybody got exactly what they asked for. But there is a huge possibility, and I feel like I have to say this because people who want to work for like my company always say, oh my God, I want to be in Atlanta. Or they live somewhere else, they're like, I want to be in Atlanta. Or they're from Atlanta, they're like, I want to be in Atlanta. Atlanta was not available to me when I graduated flight attendant training. New York was, Boston was, Minneapolis was, Detroit was the other one. It was not open. So I am now a Atlanta native who does not have access to being in Atlanta. You have to be open-minded because there has been so many people that have, you know, got their CGO, got to the job, and then realized they cannot be based in the city that they want to be based in. It doesn't work like that. Being a flight attendant, you have to be flexible in general. Obviously, I am Atlanta based now, so it is possible for you to get to your base that you want to get to. But in those first 6 months, babe, you just gotta be willing to be anywhere. So you've put in the base, you're like, I wanna be in LA, I wanna be in New York. If they assign you Minneapolis, babe, you're going to Minneapolis. It's either that or you don't do the job. And that's the thing is like, I feel like a lot of people don't go in open-minded and they're like, I live in Atlanta, I only applied to this company because I want to be in Atlanta, and now they're sending me to Boston, so I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, if you wait 6 months, you'd be back in Atlanta. Like, not guaranteed, but I mean, there's a good chance that you would get at some point be able to transfer back to Atlanta and be where you want it to be. So just be open-minded when you receive your base. Don't huff and puff and do a lot because you didn't get the base that you wanted. There's a good chance that you will, but there's also a chance that you won't. So being open-minded and understanding that is a part of the job, and don't sign up for a job if you're not willing to be flexible, because this job, you're gonna have a lot of things that end up unexpected and a lot of random things that happen. So nothing is ever planned. Nothing is ever planned. So just be open-minded when receiving your base. There are people that went to Minneapolis that were like, oh, I'm unsure. Now they're living in Minneapolis. They have friends. They have like this whole life, apartments, like roommates. And now I'm looking at them and I'm like, these are people that I knew that were like in different cities and now they're like living in Minneapolis. Or like I had a friend who really is from Atlanta that got based in Detroit and now he is literally living in Detroit. He loves it in Detroit and like is thriving there. So just be open-minded because you never know why a path is set in. Obviously, I believe in God. I feel like there's a reason for everything that happens, and maybe that was the set to your path. Maybe you'll find your partner there. Maybe you'll find, you know, your best friend there. Maybe you're meant to find this like new life experience in this new city. Maybe you're meant to be isolated. Maybe you are meant to be with your family again and like stay there. It just, you never know why. So just be open-minded. When you get your base, it can always change. You can always transfer, but just be open-minded to what you do get. Find it out within the first 2 weeks of training. So that's something in the early part. Now we're getting into being in training and you're learning the job, and now it's coming up. You're learning medical, you're learning doors, you're learning all these things. A small amount for study advice. So I'm not obviously allowed to talk to anything that is trained like specifically in training. But I will say this, because this is something that like I really was in the process of doing. Do not study in advance and do not stress about trying to learn information prior to getting there. There are flashcards online that you will be able to find that are literally like what you learn in training. Like if you search hard enough, you will find it. I was a person that was like, oh my God, I need to know, like there's so many planes, I'm never gonna learn it. I need to go in advance and like learn these planes, looking at all their plane models, like trying to see if I could tell the difference. The way that was like the dumbest thing ever. I didn't actually continue with that. I did just go to training and I was like, I'm just gonna have to learn the way that they do. When I say these people, like I said, are so prepared, they are so planned out for like everything. Training was honestly so easy when I look back on it. It was so easy because they literally spoon feed, like baby spoon feed it to you. You're like, how do I open this door? They're gonna be like, so this is your hand, that's a doorknob. So you're gonna look at your hand and you're gonna wanna place it over the doorknob. And you're gonna turn your wrist. Like, I mean, literally every detail is spoon fed to you. Like, you're not gonna be like, oh my God, I can't get the information in. There's literally no way. There's no way for it to happen. There's no reason for you to study in advance. There's no reason for you to stress about it. Training, at least with my company, was easy. I do feel like people say, oh my God, it's so hard. It is hard to get into. It is hard to get into. It is said that it's harder to get into this training than it is to get into Harvard. But once you're there, it is very easy. It's just hard to get into, but it is easy. They really are so prepared. They really do know what they're talking about. These people have been around for years, decades. Like you think that they're new to this. No, they're true to this. Like, they really do know everything that's going on. I do appreciate that in training, all the trainers, at least for our company, they came up with songs and acronyms and like things that was like impossible to forget. Now, obviously, I haven't been in training forever, so like I don't remember half of the songs and stuff that they did now. Now it's like second nature to me. I'm actually going to CQ in like 2 weeks because my CQ is now coming up. I have CQ and then like the next month is my 2-year anniversary, which is crazy, but I know what to do in the plane. That's second nature because of how well they taught us during training. So don't study ahead. And my study tips I would say to do, at least what worked for me, is I wrote my flashcards. My study way was flashcards. I wrote my flashcards as the questions were coming out. I wrote them as it was going because in the beginning I did write everything in a notebook, kind of like in note format. That does not work for my brain. I feel like I have like an ADHD, like ADD type brain. I don't know if I have that for sure, but my brain definitely works that way. And I was just writing it in notes and it was like out dumped, but I didn't actually understand it. And then once you're back in your hotel room or you're back at home and you're studying, now you're gonna have to take all those notes and turn them into flashcards if you want to study in that way. And I feel like that's just such a waste of time. So when I started writing the questions and answers, it was easy. It was something that I was able to do in class whenever we had free time. Like, it just was very, very easy for me to kind of get my studying in. Flashcards are an option. I know some people like recording as a method of remembering things, but please remember that these trainings and details are secured information. It is not something you can share on social media. It's not something you can keep in your phone. It is not something that like it is so serious on like how secure these things are and need to be at all time for security reasons. So if you are doing something, I'm not telling y'all to do that because I don't want y'all putting that on me. If you are doing something like recording, that needs to be deleted as soon as you know the information. Like, there are just certain things that you don't do, and you will learn and they will tell you about these things, but it is very, very important for security reasons that you don't do certain things. I would suggest flashcards. That was the best thing for me. Some people like Quizlet. I don't know if you go into training for your airline, my airline. I think it's a 50-50 chance if they're going to be okay with iPads and stuff. They don't allow you to have an Apple Watch. You're not allowed to have your phone. There are just so many like serious rules in regards to that I think that the MacBooks and iPad, like where your like texts are still coming in, it's like a fine line. And so they ended up saying no towards the end of that, but like in the beginning it was okay. I just feel like the computers are a distraction if they can't see it. It's just like a very, very fine line. So I don't know that I would go for that to start. Again, figure out which way works best for you as far as studying, but those are the tips that I have for study material. So the next thing I want to go into as far as your training experience is going to be the drama and the negativity, babe. Do not get into any type of mess. Like for me, like I told you guys, me and my roommate stayed in the room. We rarely were out. We didn't have no issues, no drama, no nothing. But it's gonna happen. No matter what training you're at, there are going to be hookups, there are going to be little arguments, and there are going to be like people that you might not necessarily get along with. The thing is, this is work. Like regardless, in the moment, it is gonna feel so fun. It's gonna feel almost like high school again because you're like in that kind of environment where you're all hanging out and like different personalities and all this stuff. Stay out of the drama. That is a very quick way for you to go home. It's a very quick way for your name to be passed around. You are there for work. You're not there for hooking up. If you want to hook up after. Like, don't do any of that. This is your job. Like, and you're playing with your job. Think about how much you gave up to be in the position to be in like a training as amazing as this. You're finally here. You're finally about to be a flight attendant. You're finally about to see the world, and you're getting a mess prior to even getting there. Keep any opinions that you have about other people or things to yourself, because I did have an experience in my training. This was not somebody that was in our class. It was actually a class that was shortly after us. Now we had somebody I was in our class that was not trans, but they preferred to dress feminine, and they did, you know, use the ladies' restroom. They were non-binary. I was like, what's the proper term? Non-binary. A lady from another class decided to say something really rude and disrespectful to that person. And the way that that worked out is they left training. In this job in general and life in general, really you should know if you're an adult, in life in general, you're gonna come across a lot of different people, all different walks of life. If you have negative feelings about any group of people, one, check yourself, because what? I don't even know why people still have like even anything to say about what anybody else has going on, but watch yourself, like really watch yourself. And I really mean this like wholeheartedly, because I just feel like it is so silly to me to have gotten to like the place of being with these amazing companies. You are now in a spot where you really are about to go into this new chapter in your life, and to ruin it over drama, to ruin it over comments, to ruin it over just like stuff that is not important does not make sense to me. So I'm trying to give y'all the tea before y'all get there, because it's like you do not want to be in some mess and get sent home because of some mess. The minimum for our company, I think you have to have a 93 or above. I know that a B was not an option. I know that was not an option. But I think you had to have like a 93 or above, if I'm not mistaken. I could be, it was, again, it's been forever since I've been there. But I did not have one test that was under, I think it was a 93. Like it was like certain ones. It was like 93, 9600. I never got under a 93 my entire time during training. Now, in other classes, again, like we had people go home because they did not make the grades necessary. And that's what I mean. Like if you're focused on the wrong things, like you gave up everything for what? Like think about that when you're going into training. I gave up how much to be here? How much have I given up for this? I quit my corporate job for this. I'm taking a pay cut, honestly, but I'm here for like this amazing company and the experience. What would happen if a disagreement with us caused me to go home in this moment? And you have to think what is most important for you and your life. Once you leave training, you may never see these people again. Now, I know a lot of people from training are like besties, like people that they got close to in training are really, really close. You guys know I got really close to somebody that was in training. If you watched like during around the time when I was in training, like I got really, really close to somebody. But again, you may never see these people again. There are people that were in my training class I haven't seen. Like I've seen a couple of them like in the airport or like stopping in the airport, just having to like run into each other, and it's nice. But that is not the most important, having relationships and training. Make friends, you know, be cool, but getting into the unnecessary stuff, don't do it. It's your job. Think about it at all times. Every single thing that you're doing. This is my job. I'm not here having fun. This is literally my job. It's training for my job. You're just there 24/7, so it feels more fun. People are going out, people are going to lunch together. It feels more casual, but always keep in the back of your mind, this is my job and this is training and this is work. The second part of that is the actual friendship and the memory. So the positive part of that is you are still allowed to make friends. You're still allowed to have fun. Like there are a bunch of pictures that we have. Like there are events too. Like our company has an event, I think called like Birthday, where it's like literally a day learning all about the company. And there's like pictures and there's food and like photo booths, and like you're gonna have so much fun in training. Like I'm not saying you're not gonna make any friends, don't do nothing, don't have fun. Like you're going to have so much, at least for my company's training, I do really feel like it's like such a fun time. There's so much to do. Like we bonded with our trainers, and like our trainers were pretty young too. They were like, I think 32, and like, I mean, they were younger girls. So I do feel like there's a lot of fun to be had. So it's not to say like don't have any fun, like definitely make your friends. Like again, I've seen friendship groups, like there were specifically I think like 5 people that were in our training class that got really, really close, and I still see them. Like maybe a couple weeks ago they were in like Scotland or something. I don't remember where they're, Edinburgh, I think. But yeah, they're traveling together. They're going everywhere. Like that same group of 5 girls and guys like are going on vacation together, having fun together. So it's not to say that you cannot have friends. Make friends, enjoy the memories, enjoy like the entire training experience. All of those experiences where you're like making memories and it feels like it's happening so fast. Enjoy yourself. Bring a disposable camera, you know, whatever, like have fun, but just remember that it's work. I don't want to like go into being like so harsh, don't do anything, don't breathe, you know, but like have fun, enjoy the process, enjoy the memories, but just keep in mind what I said before. So we're getting towards the end of training. You're getting towards the end of the training experience. You've, learned all your stuff, and now it's coming time to try on uniforms. Now, I want to say this because it is important. By this time, I do believe that you will have your base. They'll tell you what your base was or not. Please pick your uniform based off of one, what you're gonna wear and feel the most comfortable and beautiful in. If you are going to Minneapolis, I'll give the example. Minneapolis is cold. Boston is cold. Like, those places have so much snow and everything like that. You need to be basing your uniform off of like, am I gonna be freezing here? You get 3 uniforms when you're in your uniform try on. Take it seriously. Think about where you're gonna be based. Think about what you're gonna feel the most comfortable in. I will say with my specific airline, we all had the experience of being sized up in our uniform. Speak up in like what you want the fit to be like. Now for me, I did not speak up much in my uniform try on, so all of my uniforms were a little bit baggy. We were like so strict on like not wanting it to be like super tight, which again I 100% agree with, but like mine were like, I lost weight even after training and they were like baggy on me, so I ended up having to go and get them altered. I spent like $60 to get like certain alterations, and it just was a lot of money. So I do feel like you should speak up on the fit and how you want something to fit while you're in that room. That is like a day of fun. You're gonna have so much fun. It's gonna feel real once you are like in the uniform, and that's like the fun part. But make sure that it fits comfortably. You don't want it to be tight. There are obviously gonna be rules to like compliance on how it looks, but also if something is very baggy, speak up and be like, hey, no, I really think I need to order this size. I really wish that more people had, because a lot of us ended up having to buy new uniforms. For my company, you do get a uniform budget every year on your anniversary. So when my anniversary came up, I went like 3 sizes down, and none of my uniforms are tight. But it's crazy how like the comfortable fit that I have now in my uniform is so different than like how baggy and like it looked not nice, I feel. So I wish I had said more during my uniform try on. So that's what I'm telling you guys. Shortly after uniform try on is pool day. I will say it was my most fun day in flight attendant training. It feels like a party. I do know how to swim. If you don't know how to swim, you have a buddy. You actually do have a different color vest. They make sure you're not gonna drown, like you're in a vest the entire time. You don't have to know how to swim like an Olympian or anything like to do the test. You just have to not drown. You're in a vest. Even if something were to happen, an emergency happened in a real life experience, you're in a vest. You're not just swimming in the open ocean. So if you do not know how to swim, do not stress it. They will take care of you. You do not have to know how to swim or be a perfect swimmer to do the pool day. You are in a vest. You are having to inflate your vest, jump into some water, swim a couple feet in your vest, as long as you're not a panicker, because if you're a panicker, you can't save anybody, but and get onto a raft, the safety raft, pulling yourself up on something. You are in a vest at all times. You're not gonna drown. You are gonna be okay and well taken care of. And if you are a person that can't swim or is not a strong swimmer, as they say in training, you are paired with somebody who is a good swimmer and they actually are pulling you. So yeah, you're gonna be good. You're fine. You're not gonna fail, because I feel like that's something that people ask about pool day is like, oh, I can't swim, or I'm not a strong swimmer, will I pass? That is not a pass or fail. Nobody passed or failed, and there were people in my class that were literally terrified of swimming and of water, did fine. Just don't panic, because that just means that in a safety situation, you may not be the best bet. But yeah, you're gonna be completely fine. You are not going to drown. There's nothing to be scared of. Shortly after you are about to graduate flight attendant training, you're around the corner and you have your OE flight and your customer service flight. That is different for every company. I have watched videos where I've heard girls and guys say that their test flight was after they graduated. Our company, they do 2 flights during training. You are putting everything you learned in training to the test while doing it. So your first flight is your OE flight. That flight is, I think, Operation Experience. I can't remember what OE stands for, but it is you going on a same coast flight. Atlanta to New York, or Atlanta to Boston, or it's something fairly far of a distance, like maybe like Miami to New York or something like that. It is fairly far, but you're staying on the same coast. So it tends to go on the same coast. Now, if you do have the experience, like your flight gets canceled or something, you're just rescheduled. Like, I mean, if any delays happen, you're getting, you know, the vibe of how it is going to be as a flight attendant. Next flight that you do is your customer experience flight or customer service flight. I can't remember. But that one is cross country. So for me, my OE flight was Atlanta to New York. So exciting because that was going to be my new base. I've been in New York before, but I was so excited going and flying to New York because it just made it real that I'm going to be like moving to the city, and I don't know, it just was odds that it was New York, and I was so happy and so excited. And then my customer service flight was Atlanta to Orange County, California. I think it's SNA is that airport code, ATL to SNA. Both of them went fine. My OE flight, I did get nauseous because I did not realize I had motion sickness. So I did have Dramamine come my customer experience flight because I definitely threw up in the bathroom on my OE flight. But yeah, it gives you an experience of flying while you're in training. Now, it's not something to stress on. It is sort of a pass or fail, but like, you've learned everything. Like, you're literally done. Like, you're about to graduate. You've learned everything. It's literally just putting the things that you've been testing, like testing your knowledge on safety equipment and all that, but on the actual plane. Now you're looking at it, but it's the same things you've been doing for the last 4 or 5 weeks at that point. And you're gonna have so much fun, and it's gonna make you feel like a real flight attendant when you're actually doing snacks and like actually watching doors get armed and disarmed. It just makes it all like so real. And I don't know, I loved mine, and I have pictures from mine. Actually, I should put pictures. I have pictures from mine. And everybody was so sweet, and I had a ball on mine. So yeah, it gives you a whole nice little experience of being a flight attendant before you graduate training. And then you're done, baby. After your finals, now you are a flight attendant. You have successfully made it through flight attendant training. It's just crazy because I remember, like, I don't want to get emotional, but like I remember the feeling that I had, like that final test and seeing my grade and knowing like I'm graduating, like I'm a flight attendant now. It's crazy because now we're about to be 2 years later in a couple weeks, and it's just been surreal. I don't regret this job. I've had people ask me, I did a video, me quitting my corporate job, my $70,000 a year job for being a flight attendant. It's obviously a pay cut, and I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I've had so much fun in the past 2 years. It's been amazing. And sometimes I wish I could go back to training just to like experience again. Now I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm about to do CQ, and I'm already like, whoa, not ready for CQ. I'm gonna get ready, but I'm not ready right now. It has been an amazing experience. And if you guys are in the beginning and just starting out or about to go into training, just enjoy the process. Like, I really wish sometimes I had slowed down just to enjoy the process, because we're so ready to get out. We're ready to be a flight attendant. But that's gonna happen. You're gonna make it through. Like, you're gonna make it. But the experiences and time that you get in training is very special. Even your 1 year anniversary, I remember that party that we had was so much fun. But it's an amazing experience. I love the company that I work for. I have no complaints. Even the people that have complaints or say that we need a union, baby, no. We are actually getting a raise this year, which is blessings on blessings. Our profit sharing looks beautiful this year. Blessings on blessings on blessings on blessings. I am so excited for you guys that are joining my company. Even if you're not joining my company, joining whatever company you work for. I have plenty of friends that work for other airlines that just love their job. Like, they love their job. Obviously there's things in every company that you work for that maybe you want adjusted or changed, but the lifestyle, this career is like unlike any other. And if you are joining the process or thinking about joining the process, it's worth it. That's all I can say. Is it is worth it. But yeah, I love you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed video 2 of my flight attendant series. Obviously I have more videos coming out for you guys on how to, you know, deal with this flight attendant life and the things y'all need to know, because I'm gonna tell you and I'm gonna give it to you the real. But I love you, and I will see y'all in the next one, and I love you guys. Bye.
Small world with big dreams, bad girl with big things. Nani, you the drip queen. Elevator a big deal. Nani na na na, top girl from Atlanta. Nani na na na.